Before I get into the meat of this video, I just want you to look at these two walking sticks I'm swinging around here. Both of these were made by Jeremy Duncan, and I will put a link to his Facebook in the description below. These sticks are basically shillelaghs, but they're made out of pearwood instead of blackthorn. And this is the one I do not bang up. This one I carry on my walks, and I try to keep pristine. It is a thing of beauty. The other one I'll bang up. But anyway, let's talk about solo training and why it's so important. So I train by myself probably 4 to 5 times a week at least, and I teach multiple classes during the week as well. But the solo training is something I can get time for. I don't have to wait for a partner, and I can make time for it daily if I really want to. Not having to depend on someone else to come and train with me is really important. Training partners are good to have, and they are a treasure. But often schedules don't meet, and you can't always depend on a training partner. So this is why it's important to have a heavy bag or another target like that bob, and just some space where you can do some carenza or shadow boxing, or enseo as we call it in De Campo. And solo training, you can practice hitting targets, understanding range, fluidity. You can work on your fitness. You can work on your footwork. Nowadays, we're very fortunate that we have phone cameras available to film our solo training and see what we have to work on, see where our footwork isn't lining up and our body mechanics need improvement. I really enjoy when I make these videos because I'm critiquing myself and looking at what I need to work on. Am I in balance? Am I throwing my punches properly? You know, watching this one, I really do need to work a bit on my boxing. My punches definitely need to be crisper and cleaner, and I'm kind of pushing them more than snapping them. But this is something I'm going to work on because I love hitting things. I love training. I love working on my boxing. For the most part, when I'm doing empty hand, I do a lot more, palm strikes, hammer fists, things like that. But this Bob is kind of fun. He's new to the gym, so he's fun to throw punches on. He's not as hard as my other training dummy, which can be hard on the bare fist. But this, I never owned an actual Century Bob. These guys are very soft and pliable and are fun to hit, but they definitely won't do much for training your hands to be able to punch barehanded. Whereas my other training dummy will really train your hands for that, because not only is he really hard, but he's about 8 layers of duct tape at this point after all the repairs I've done on him. I kind of like that combination better than some of the earlier ones. I got to lift my elbow a little more on my hooks so I don't slow myself down on a person's guard or have their guard interfere with my punch. Consistent solo training is one of the most important things to developing as a fighter. Now here I'm just highlighting my footwork as I'm swinging my stick. If I ever film my footwork again, I'm going to work more on sliding like my De Campo instructor has been working with me on, or had been working with me on the last time we trained. And I don't want him to get pissed off at me and give me shit for my footwork. But solo training is one of the most rewarding things I do with my time, because I get to work on what I want to work on. I get to focus on what I want to focus on. When you're working with a training partner, you may have different needs, and it's only fair that you focus on both each other's needs, not just one person. Time is a precious commodity, so it's important that when you're training with somebody else, you make sure that both of you get what you need, and at least try to compromise and make sure that you focus on what the other person does instead of just on your own needs. However, when you're solo training, you can always focus on what you think you need or what you enjoy, right? Because sometimes training is more about enjoyment than it is always about specific goals. But if you are going to make the most of your solo training, make sure you understand what you want to work on, what skills you want to build. There's so much you can do with solo training, especially if you have tools like these training dummies and those heavy bags at your disposal. However, I have found excellent training with things like old tires and homemade training dummies and just a little bit of space, right? You don't need a gym at your disposal, but it sure is nice to have. It sure is nice to have the ability to go in and work with this kind of equipment you see in the background. If you're not a competitive fighter, you really don't have to overtrain. I mean, as you get older too, you can do less. I put in probably about a half hour in these solo training sessions, and then I do other fitness along with that. Now, if you want some help on solo training for martial arts, please support my Patreon. I have lots of drills on there. Thank you very much.